So, how's the lighting treating you tonight?
Lighting? What lighting? These are a bunch of sticky notes!
Okay, fair. How about a simple conversation starter?
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Baby girl, you have lovely eyes.
We have the same eyes.
Right.
How about we talk about something more controversial and adult?
Like how the Riot Grrrl movement's legacy in gender expression and feminism still linger today, and yet both such things aren't talked about in their respective categories, as well as in the punk movement as a whole.
I was thinking about going back to your place and talking about adult things like taxes and the results of the election this year, but that was the second thing on my mind. Are you a mind reader?
Nope, just a gambler, but also a college student in need of an A in his final project.
Rock music and feminism have been a vice for social change and activism for many decades, eventually evolving into the punk movement and third wave feminism respectively in the 1990s. Around this time, however, a cultural storm was beginning to emerge from the underground punk scene into the mainstream. Very gradually, these people were finally being heard by the masses. It was raw. It was rebellious. It was the Riot Grrrl movement, a loud, unapologetic force that acted as a redefiner of both gender expression and feminism through the vice of punk music. The 1990s were a time of a cultural upheaval. Grunge bands were starting to become popular, and bands like Nirvana were starting to break into the mainstream, addressing conformity and generational discontent. However, this popular wave was brewing an underground rebellion. Riot Grrrl. Born in Olympia, Washington, this movement combined punk's DIY ethos with feminist activism. The goal? It wasn't about fitting in, it was about breaking barriers set by society. The Riot Grrrl movement as we know it today arose in 1991 when a group of young women in the West Coast punk scene decided to gather together to fight sexism within their community. They would go on to form a network that was dedicated to feminism, creativity, and activism, led by figures such as Allison Wolfe of Bratmobile and Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill. Their weapon of choice? Music. But not just any music. Music that was just as brash as it was empowering. Not only that, but they also went about it in a more physical way in regards to their appearance. For example, Kathleen Hanna would write the word slut across her torso, reclaiming the narrative by taking a derogative word and wearing it like a badge of honor. Writing such obscenities as slut on the torso, women challenged the notion that they were simply objects of shame. Another iconic piece of Riot Grrrl media? Zines. Homemade magazines that were filled with personal essays, art, and manifestos. These would quickly become a cornerstone of the movement, spreading the Riot Grrrls' raw and unfiltered messages. Messages that often carried heavy loads of defiance, but also empowerment in their themes. One example is Bikini Kill's Rebel Girl, which quickly became an anthem for the movement, and to this day, one of their more popular songs, both for Bikini Kill discography as well as for the movement as a whole. This song would celebrate the strength and camaraderie of women. Hanna gives us a character in this song who has the persona of someone who can lead a group of people through their beliefs, and the latter line of having a trike, as in tricycle, implies that this girl has some fondness for biking, which was predominantly seen as a masculine activity alongside punk music in the 1990s. The girl holding her head high can also be seen as a symbol for not giving up and standing firm in your beliefs, no matter the backlash from the general public. The girl that Kathleen sings about in the story has this sort of shamelessness for doing such a quote-unquote masculine activity that she is proud of, that she will hold her head high and stand firm on the ground, that she not only loves the activity that she does, but also holds herself in high regard in said activity. Another song I want to go over is the Heavens to Betsy song, Terrorist. This song has a visceral description of objectification, and it sets the stage for the song's rebellious narrative. I mean, from the opening lines, Corin Tucker, the lead singer, her voice seethes with fury. You follow me to the fucking street and you make me feel like a piece of meat. The protagonist refuses to cower, instead declaring herself the terrorist in a symbolic role reversal. This wasn't about actual violence, but instead about reclaiming the power and disrupting societal norms that highlight harassment. Despite the empowering messages of many songs, including these ones that talk about enjoying things without having someone stick a gender on it, and standing your ground as somebody, a person, and not an object, the Riot Grrrls faced backlash. Mainstream media often trivialize the movement and dismiss it as some angry female version of punk from the 1970s. Even feminist theorists critiqued it as too niche and non-inclusive. And even with all that, the Riot Grrrls refused to conform to societal or academic expectations. In fact, they used every ounce of criticism as a sort of fuel to burn the flame of their art and activism even more. Unfortunately, as the decade progressed and the 1990s came to an end, the Riot Grrrls' messages and art forms and ethos was appropriated. Mainstream artists and brands began to water down their feminist ideals into simple aesthetic trends. What began as a rebellion became commodified. This dilution of their message was everything that they fought against. The Riot Grrrl movement did eventually fade into the mainstream. However, its legacy still endures. New bands would start to form, whether they would get disbanded or not. In the case of Kathleen Hanna, she would move on to Le Tigre, but still touring with Bikini Kill. And with Corin Tucker, it would be Sleater Kinney disbanding Heavens to Betsy. While musically they still kept the Riot Grrrl mood going, modern TikTok creators, albeit in a niche community, would also channel their Riot Grrrl ethos of apologetic self-expression. Riot Grrrl was much more than a movement, it was a revolution. You could even say it was a blueprint for future generations to fight for their voices. Yes, it was short-lived, but the time it was here, its music and activism, they challenged social norms and reshaped punk music, empowering countless women to reclaim their narratives. It changed how gender expression and feminism were done. The Riot Grrrl movement wasn't just about the music, it was about making noise. Not static, but a loud noise, making sure people heard your cause.
Hello, it is me, the waiter. Is everything between you two going well?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about the Riot Grrrl movement.
Good for you, sir. And you, ma'am?
Great. In fact, I was just on my way out.
What's her deal?
I don't know. All I did was spend almost 10 minutes talking to her about the Riot Grrrl movement and not about adult things like taxes and election results.
Oof, you tell me. My wife ran out on me for something similar.
What, does she not like Green Day or something?
Oh no, we're big fans. I just told her one of the albums from them I just didn't like, and she just got mad for some reason and ran off.
I mean, Father of All was a decent listen from me, and I think they deserved their Grammy nominations this year for their Savior stuff.
Oh, those are our favorite albums of all time. I'm talking about American Idiot.
What the